Hi guys, this is Mike with yet another video about this tracking sheet that I've created for our use. Today's topic is downtime. I actually think this will probably end up being two videos, and I know I've posted videos, or at least one, about downtime before, but that will be coming down, and we will replace it with what I'm saying here because I've made some changes, I've made some additions, and so this is the new gospel on how downtime works. So let's just dive right in like we try to do with all of these. As I said before, if you haven't seen the intro video, you might want to go watch that so you learn a little bit more about what this sheet is. But for now, let's just start talking about downtime. The truth is the majority of this sheet is for dealing with downtime. And before we dive into the mechanics of the sheet, I wanted to make a couple of points to you guys. First, my own philosophy and the Ultimate Campaign book's philosophy is pretty clear that it isn't downtime just because you have a few days of break. Downtime is a mechanic, is a system that we'll use when you have sort of a no pressure situation for a little while where your stress level is tuned down a little bit and you can actually take a break and get some stuff done. Just because you've got a couple of days with nothing scheduled in the middle of adventures, we won't necessarily institute a downtime period. In fact, we almost certainly won't. So, just because you've got a minute to go shopping and to get healed up, we're not going to exercise this whole complex set of rules at that point. We'll just do it when we have a break. Hopefully it'll come up often enough, and I intend to make it come up often enough. But I wanted to make that point to you that it's a rare thing to have a nice period of downtime. Anyway, that being said, kind of like the philosophy of crafting, crafting shouldn't be where you think you're going to get every one of the magic items that you've ever wanted. The whole idea of the session points is to sort of limit, how many items you can create. So you'll still have to get some from just looting monsters and that sort of thing. The same is true when we're talking about downtime. Downtime isn't going to be the silver bullet to solve all your problems, but it does give you a lot of options. If you're the kind of person that wants to, sort of impact the game world by building a building or organizing a group of individuals who go out and do missions for you or investigate things for you or make money for you or whatever, that's all available. But if that doesn't appeal to you at all, downtime can also be used to sort of investigate what's going on in the campaign. If that doesn't appeal to you, you can use downtime just to make your character better by learning more skills, more feats, more spells, that sort of thing. So there ought to be something for everybody in it. There are some ancillary benefits to doing things like, building an organization or constructing a building, a tavern or an inn or something like that. You get income from it that you can use on other stuff. If you have something like a smithy or some sort of craft shop, you can get a discount on things that you buy for yourself. So there hopefully is stuff for everybody to do in this. I took a look at the system provided by the Ultimate Campaign book, and I felt like it was a good jumping off point, but there needed to be more stuff inside of it. So I have added quite a bit to what's going on here. The way I think these videos will go is this one, I'm going to show you what the downtime activities are. And then in the next one, we'll jump into how to manage your organizations and your buildings. It's worth mentioning that with organizations and buildings, if you build up a stronghold, then what was it Thor said in the Avengers movies? You're signaling that you're ready for a higher form of war. Building these things will draw attention to you from similar factions in the area who might want to take what you have and that sort of thing, which is fun from a story perspective, but it's something to keep in mind. All right, so that was a long enough intro. This downtime's date that we track on the data summary actually matters quite a bit. So we are, that's a place where I will fill in on your character sheets when downtime starts and ends. And you'll know up front how long downtime is going to be. You have some sort of precognition, I suppose, about how long this stuff is, but it's really just the only way to make the sheet work and to make the whole process work. There still may be some events that occur during downtime that you can't predict, but the actual span of time is something you'll know up front. I've built this sheet that is sort of the steps we go through anytime we have a downtime. I know it looks like a lot, but most of it we'll just gloss right over. It's just here to make sure I don't forget things. A lot of these are just tasks for me in managing this sheet. But we're not going to talk about these steps right now. If we talk about them at all, this will kick in more. This really has more to do with managing buildings and organizations than anything else. Continuing on through the sheet here, we've got tabs for your buildings and for your organizations. Again, not going to talk about those till the next video. This video, I guess we're 10 minutes into it, finally doing what we're here for, which is to talk about the actual activities that you can undertake. So the sheet looks like this. As always, you can type in the green areas, stay out of the red areas. I've got this super zoomed in so that you can see it on this video, but you'll see that if you scooch over to the right, there's actually quite a number of columns here. Most of them are in pink, because most of them you won't need to fill in, but these will dynamically change depending on what activity you choose. So I'll give you an example of that as we go through it. The sheet itself has got the dates on it. It's got a place for you to check mark when downtime is done, because when you're done, I'm going to lock this sheet down so it doesn't change any of the numbers over time. Down the left, you'll see the dates. So we've got 30 days of downtime here, so there's actually 60 rows here, because the top line is for you to pick what you do. The bottom line is for me to put any notes that I want in here. You've got a space over here to put notes yourself under a summary of the activity. As I've said before, I wrote a lot of stuff in these sheets, but the idea is that you don't have to go anywhere else. So I invite you to actually read what I wrote. One, because, you need to know how it works. And two, because I have probably changed the way most of this stuff works from the way it's written in the book. In every single case, the changes I've made benefit the player. Things like dice rolls that are a D20, I have just defaulted the sheet to assume you rolled a 20. Stuff like that. Because rather than us stopping to roll dice through 30 days of downtime, I would rather just click a few buttons and have it do all the math automatically and just assume that you got the maximum out of it. But that saves a lot of time. And, sort of the whole point of this is to have something as cool and fun and varied as downtime, but not make it more of a burden on the game. And I really feel like this sheet accomplishes that. There's some notes up at the top that, as usual, are probably worth reading. You'll see each of the columns represents either an income or an outgoing sort of resource that'll be calculated, or that you might type in some cases. There's a note up here about how when you earn capital, it actually costs you gold. This is just to remind you to not go out here and earn a whole bunch of capital that you can't then pay for. It is not to tell you to type in paying for it. The sheet takes care of paying for it for you, but you can get in the hole pretty much pretty quickly if you need to establish a chain of gold coming in before you start making a bunch of other kinds of capital is really the point there. And then in this column here where the duration is, you can use the little green space underneath. If something's going to take 4 days, you can type in, day 1 of 4, day 2 of 4, day 3 of 4, and that way you can keep up with whether you've completed the number of days necessary for that particular task. All right, that's a good enough look at the sheet. Let's just start talking about the different activities. There are a lot of them, so you may want to go get a drink or pause this video a couple of times as we go through them, but I did want there to be a lot of options. I've got them all set to default to take it easy, because if you're not doing anything else, you might as well take it easy. Taking it easy is absolutely no dependencies on the player. I will roll some dice and something interesting has a very slim chance of happening. Otherwise, you just spend a day taking it easy. All right, so let's go to the very top of the list here. You see how this works? You just hit the little drop down button and you get a list of all the things that you could do. All right, so there's the total list. We'll start going through them. Add spell to a limited list. You'll notice when you choose something, it takes a second, probably 2 seconds for everything to fill in. Just be patient. This sheet has got a lot going on. So when you make choices that require something dynamic to happen, sometimes there'll be a little bit of lag. Just give it a second. Adding spells to a limited list. This is an option for oracles and inquisitors and bards and sorcerers and people who have a limited number of spells to add spells to their list. They have a lifetime maximum of 1 new spell per level. It costs them a magic capital to do it, and they can never do it. Every spell that they learn must be 1 or more levels lower than the highest they can cast. It's got a reminder here to add a note to Hero Lab when you give yourself this bonus spell as to why you're giving yourself the bonus spell. I know I've said that a lot in this, but as we go through Hero Lab and add things, I like there to be a record of it. So here's the duration changes. It tells you it's the number of days equal to the spell level. So repeat the task for as many days as needed to complete the task. So for instance, if you're getting a 2nd level spell, then you would have 2 of these entries because it's going to take you 2 of your downtime days, right? So, and you would type here, you would type day 1 of 2, and then here you would type day 2 of 2. Remember, you're only typing in the green. The red is just to tell you what to do in the green below it. And then the questions out here changed. This one is saying, which spell are you learning? What's the level of the spell? You only need to fill that in on either the first or the last day, unless you just want to be thorough and fill it in everywhere. This is where you'd mark off that you spent the magic to learn it. Again, you only need to do it on day 1. And then the cost of this, you need to fill in as well. And it's 100 gold per spell level. So you type that in. And again, by typing numbers in here, if you type in that you spent 1 magic on this and you type in that it was a 2nd level spell, so it cost you 200 gold, you'll see that if you go to your resources out tab, now it's deducting 200 gold from you and it's deducting 1 magic from you. So, and then if you go to your data summary, you'll see all that's being pulled out here as well. So the sheet takes care of all the math. You just need to enter the numbers, all right? All right, so let's go to whatever the next option is. Add spells to spontaneous casting. Wanted all the casters to have something that they could do. So if you are a druid or a cleric, or I don't know if there are others, but I think that's it, who gets the option to turn any spell into a spontaneously cast spell, you can add to that list of things that you can spontaneously cast. Again, it works more or less the same way, except in learning a spell in this way costs you influence, and you can have up to 2 spontaneous spells added to your list per level if you're a cleric or a druid. I always feel like rewarding the clerics when I can. And again, sorry, I keep pausing. I'm coughing like crazy. Again, you've got some questions to answer. How many days are you going to spend on this? What spell are you learning? What's the level? Mark off your influence that you're spending over here. And again, most of this is pretty straightforward. And then the cost is only 25 gold per spell level to do this, but there is some cost involved. All right, continuing on, I can probably just use this one. Add spells to your spell book. This is straight out of the book. This is the way that wizards and magus and alchemists and witches add spells to their spell book. This is just standard Pathfinder stuff. I have made an addition that if you build, when you're making buildings, if you build yourself a magical repository, then the cost of this activity drops by 80%. Or you can just pay your way into somebody else's magical repository for 3 influence a day, and then you'd still save the money on writing these spells into your spell book. So having that particular kind of building has a benefit beyond what the book thinks it should have, because I added that little bit of homebrew to it. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff in here. Again, it's probably worth reading what pops up. And I'm not going to go through every single question out here. I feel like they're all pretty straightforward. But, you know, in some cases you'll see that you need to ask the DM what you should put in this space. And, you know, I'll probably, once you say you filled out your sheet, I'll come along and fill those numbers in, or I'll talk to you about it in case the number that I'm putting there is one that you're not happy with. I've got an option here, and again, this is completely new stuff, that if you want to change the income type that a particular room or team is bringing in for you, that you need to spend a day to do that. That's mainly because it's kind of a hassle to change it, and it's not something you can really handle yourself. You'll need my input. So if you've created a tavern and right now it makes gold for you, and you decide somewhere in the middle of downtime that you don't want it creating gold for you, you want it to create influence, that's fine, but you'll need to come out here and put in this this activity and spend a day you know, reorganizing your tavern to your bar to bring you you know, the different resource. That'll make more sense when you start dealing with it. By default, the game thinks that you could split up what you earn every day, and you could earn a little bit of influence, and you could earn a little bit of gold. But that gets into the crunchy crap that I don't want to deal with as part of downtime. It makes it really hard to automate anything. So instead, your rooms and your teams are just earning you one kind of income. And again, if you want to change it, you have to come out here and spend a day changing it. There's a note here that if you ever happen to upgrade a room, a lot of rooms and teams have an option to upgrade them. I don't know, you can upgrade an acolyte to a priest, or you can update, you know, a stage to an auditorium or something like that. As part of upgrading, you can change your income type without having to spend a day. So that'll all make sense when we go through how we manage teams and buildings. Next is construct a building from rooms. This is the traditional stuff. If you want to build yourself a shrine or a bar or a guard post or any of the things that we'll talk about when we go through all the different kinds of rooms that you can build, then you need to spend a day. You see it takes 1 day to kick off the building project. Again, this is a little bit of a change from the rules, where the rules may have made you spend a lot more time doing this, but as far as I'm concerned, you can just spend 1 day, tell your foreman and your labor what you want done. You know, you've got an architect on site or whatever, and then they take care of it from there. When you choose this, you'll need to go over to the tab down here called Your Buildings, and fill that in to get it all taken care of. You can spend extra labor to make it happen faster, and all that's accounted for in here as well. Probably when I go through those tabs, I'll start by selecting this activity, and we'll go through it that way. Next is craft a unique item. I don't think this will come up very often. You can read about it, but basically this is not for you to so much create your own super magic item. It's if you think the campaign would benefit from having some sort of narratively specific item or potion or whatever. This has already come up once with Pillory taking the time to come up with something that would weaken Flameheart, the dragon, for a very short while. So anyway, if you come up with something like that and it's clever enough and I agree that it's a good idea, then you can spend some time making that happen. I'm not going to spend much time talking about this one, much more time talking about it, because I really don't think it'll come up very often. But you guys might surprise me. Earn capital. This is exactly what it sounds like. You can just spend the day going out and getting yourself one of the kinds of capital that there are. And remember, capital is your goods, your influence, your labor, your magic, or you can just spend the day earning gold. This is a good thing to do if you've got nothing else. You leverage, one of your skills. The math here of how it works is written in. Again, this by the book expects a dice roll. I'm just assuming you rolled a 20 on that dice roll. So you get the max if you do it, so it might be worth doing on occasion. There is also an option in the book, so I left it here, called Earning Capital Unskilled. This is a pretty stupid thing to do, so I would never do it. As long as you're trained in any skill, which you must be, you wouldn't ever use this. I did leave it in because I did come up with a scenario. If you happen to be like in a position where you were, I don't know, in prison or on a boat or in a very weird location and you had time to kill, you might not be able to exercise, your diplomacy or your sleight of hand or whatever, but you still want to earn some sort of capital. Maybe this would kick in. Again, I've talked about it more than is necessary because I don't think it'll ever come up. There is an option to just earn experience. Now, soon enough, I probably won't be sharing how much experience you have, but I'll always let you know if you're in the lead or in behind or whatever. This will let you earn experience as though, and this is right out of the book, by the way, as though you had defeated an opponent whose CR was equal to your character level. So you go out in the woods and you kill a dire giraffe and you come back with some experience, and you can keep doing that until you are at least even with the highest experience total in the group. So there you go. There's never nothing to do. If none of this downtime stuff appeals to you, you ought to be able to find stuff like that to do. The next one is expand your cosmic awareness. If you aren't maxed in your ranks of cosmic awareness, the skill, and you'd like to earn more, you can spend a day connecting with the universe, however you do that, through meditation or yoga or psychedelic drugs or whatever you want to do. You can get a skill point just for spending a day. So if you want to be maxed in cosmic awareness, you don't have to spend your actual at-level skill ranks on it. You can just use this downtime activity and keep it maxed, again, if that's something you want to do, if you see it as a valuable skill. The next one's kind of fun. Again, an original one I created called Fight Club. Basically, you can go spend a number of days at Fight Club equal to your base attack bonus per downtime session. So martial characters are better at Fight Club, can get more out of Fight Club than wizards or whatever. But every day that you spend there getting your ass kicked or kicking ass at Fight Club, you'll earn what I call a Fight Club point. And once you've got 5 Fight Club points, you will randomly generate knowledge of one of these feats. So you might pick up dodge or toughness or blind fight or whatever. You don't have any control over what you get, but if hanging out at Fight Club sounds like something you'd want to do anyway, you can come away after some time with a new feat. And if you roll up a feat you already have, you roll again, so it would never be wasted. Again, that's all tracked on these resources in and out tabs and all that kind of stuff, just like any other resource, Fight Club points. Again, I'm not going to read you every prompt here. You guys are smart enough to figure it out. Hopefully I wrote it well enough. Gambling is another one that I've created. Basically, you can spend up to three consecutive days on a gambling binge if you want to. You can earn a good bit of money doing it, or you can lose a good bit of money doing this. If you are really trained and professional gambler and sense motive, the odds are in your favor. And if you're not, they're probably not. You're probably going to break even or lose money. You don't have to do 3 days in a row, but the max you can do is 3 days in a row, and they have to be in a row because you're out there on a binge doing it. That's really self-explanatory. Again, you can read about it. It's all just either gold come in or gold coming out. You have to have enough gold to cover your maximum losses before you can undertake a day. So you can't go, I really would prefer you never end up in a situation where you have negative gold. Or negative anything for that matter. The next one is gather information. This is more or less straight out of the book. I made it so certain buildings in certain teams. If you have a bar, or you have bureaucrats, you can get bonuses. This is a good way to build up your contacts if that's something you care about. But basically, this is straight out of the diplomacy skill rules. There are things called thorough questioning and influential questioning. And anyway, this gives you the opportunity to go out and ask a few questions and try to get some answers. If you're willing to spend downtime on this, and if you've got the diplomacy skill to back it up, if you choose to pump some influence into it, it's going to be even more likely to succeed, but you'll probably come away with useful information. And I'll always try to make it something that I wouldn't have given you if you hadn't done this. So it can be, very advantageous, I think. Next is heal others. If you guys come back from a mission and everybody's just really messed up, without going into all the notes here, basically this is the most advantageous possible situation for healing people. It doesn't cost you any healing kits. You don't have to have an assistant to heal yourself. You're basically not limited in the number of people you can take care of. Anyway, your skill checks do still matter. So that'll determine how many days you spend doing this to get everybody up and running. But you can actually even spend some of your labor to bring in people to help you care for the wounded if it's a really bad scene. And this should get everybody up and capped off and mobile again if that's something you need. And again, if you're building an organization of archers and guardsmen and that kind of stuff to protect whatever slice of the world you have, then they're probably going to get attacked at some point. And if they get attacked at some point, they're probably going to get hurt. And if they get hurt, you might want to use this option to get them back on their feet really quickly before the next attack comes. So that's the general idea of that. Next one, it looks like we jump down to the M's, to manage followers. Again, if you have an organization or a group, or just like the Legacy of Crows group that you guys have got, you guys have mentioned that you want to send, Naya out to do some scouting for you or whatever. I will take care of that, as it says in this. I will manage whatever you assign to your followers. But if you actually spend a day managing them, then you're going to get a more prompt, a more thorough, and a response that maybe I've put a little bit more thought into. So if you're like, hey, I've really got a lot of teams, I got a lot of irons in the fire, I want to get these guys, managed and out into the world, then this is a good way to make sure I focus on what you think is important related to your followers. Let's see here. What's after that? Promote your business. This is another one that's right out of the book, except I maxed all the numbers and then I even added a little bit to it, I think. But basically, if you want to spend a day drawing attention to a business, then it will have a really good day of income, of capital, or gold. You can do this for your own business, or you can do this for your friend's business. And by spending one day on promote your business, they earn the bonus for 4 days, or you earn the bonus for 4 days. So it's really a good investment. Again, those are supposed to be dice rolls, and I just maxed everything out. I think that's really all there is to that. I took away a similar activity that we'll talk about in a minute. Is part of why I made this one so good, because I don't like taking things away, but it was just impossible to manage on the sheet, if I recall. In addition to, I forgot I did this. In addition to promote your business, there's an option out here called promote not your business. This was just for the sheet. It's the exact same task, but if you're promoting somebody else's business, I need to track it separately than if you're promoting your own. So they're the same thing with different titles: promote your business and promote not your business. I'm sorry, I forgot I did that. Pursue your personal goals. This is kind of similar to what I said with the organizations, your teams that you might want to spend a day managing them. If you have got something that you really care about, and either it's a personal pursuit, You've got a revenge quest against somebody that's not really part of my story, it's part of your story, but you want me to focus a little bit of attention on it, then you can spend some time doing that. And we'll have to discuss how much time of your downtime, whatever your goal is going to take. Or if there's a plot point in the current story that you think gathering information isn't enough for. So you don't want to just figure out what the elves that are staying at the fancy inn are up to. You want to infiltrate them and see if you can join their team and that sort of thing. Then you could do this and basically go undercover for 20 days or whatever to learn real information about what's going on. So that basically will result in some sort of maybe solo adventure that will run on a Thursday night for you to get the information that you're after. Moving on through the list, we come to recover from a permanent injury. So the fate point system that I've got has got a way for you to cheat death if you spend a couple of fate points. Hero points, sorry, is what we call them. I need to change that. Hero points. My old game, I called them fate points. Anyway, for you to cheat death, and if you end up doing that, you usually have some sort of debilitating injury or scar or disfiguration or whatever. You can use time during downtime to recover from that and get that, that -5 to your movement or whatever taken off your sheet. You can also use this if you don't have access to a restoration spell, or if you don't want to spend the money on a restoration spell, you can just spend time in bed and get the benefit of a restoration spell. So restoration does different things. There's a 100 gold piece version that clears up some kinds of condition. There's a 1,000 gold piece version that clears up other conditions. So you just tell me which one you're doing and how many days you're going to spend. And that's what this is focused on, either getting restoration or getting over some of the cheat death negatives. Next is recruit for an organization. This is the exact same thing as spending time constructing a building, except in this case you are constructing a team. So we'll talk about this when we talk about teams and buildings. Again, it only takes a day to kick off the recruitment effort, and then you send your minions out to recruit the team on your behalf. Next is replace an animal companion. These rules are right out of the book. If your animal companion gets squished, you can spend 24 hours praying to get yourself a new one. If the animal you want isn't nearby, then this may take more than a day because you may have to travel out into the wilderness to find the dire giraffe that you really want as your pet. Similarly, replace a familiar. Again, these rules are right out of the book. And even though I use 10 days, the book says it only takes 7 days, so I left it as 7 days. This is one place where I didn't replace their idea of a week with my idea of a week. There is one called Research a Spell, and this is if you want to add a new spell to the game from say an unapproved source, or if you're just inventing one, out of your head. You'll want to kind of clear it with me ahead of time, but then you have to spend some time here. You won't be surprised that I make this sort of an unfun activity. So if you're adding stuff to the game, it's really important to you, great, I'm going to let you do that, but you're going to spend a big chunk of your downtime on it. Again, read about it. I'm not going to read everything to you. So where did I leave off? I'm getting alphabetically out of order here. Research facts and lore. This is just to use your knowledge skills. This is, again, straight out of the book. Use your knowledge skills, talk to specialists, and find something out. So if this is another way of gathering information, basically, if you're not a charismatic diplomat going out getting other people to tell you answers, maybe you're a smart guy who can go find his own answers. And then through the process, you might actually build up some contacts as well, as it mentions there. Next, we've got rest. Rest is, again, if you personally come in hurt, you're not looking to heal a whole group of people. You just want to heal yourself. you can heal yourself up from just normal damage and even ability damage really fast during downtime. So just hop in a bed and get better. A lot of things like Fight Club and some other things require you to get healthy before you can do them. So this is actually more important than it may seem at first glance. And again, I added an idea that if you have an infirmary, so if you have built a room type of an infirmary on your base of operations, then you'll heal even faster, which makes sense and makes it worth making that building. Next is retrain. These rules are also right out of the book. If there's something about your character that you want to change, after our 5th level cutoff for making free changes to your character, then you come out and you do this. This will let you opt out of that feat that you took for another one, or that class ability, or that archetype that you wish you had taken but you didn't. That kind of stuff. It gives you a way to do all of it. And again, there's a lot of prompts here that need to be filled in when you're doing it, but and things like retraining require you to find a trainer and a room to do them in. I don't mean to make that difficult, but it's got to be realistic that you could be trained on whatever you're training, or retrained on whatever you're training. What is next? Run a business. This one I have eliminated. This is the one that I just rather than running a business, just go promote your business. They were so similar, and the way that they had the run a business rules written were a pain in the neck, so I got rid of it. And you don't know probably what you're missing, so don't worry about it. Scheme for an upcoming adventure. This is straight out of the book. I think it's really clever. I did add that if you have what's called a war room, you can prep more. But this basically, if you know you've got a skill check coming out in the future, you can spend some time doing some research and some practice and some preparation. You know how in all the heist movies, they rehearse it in a big warehouse somewhere before they go do it? This is the same sort of thing where you can get a big bonus to a skill roll. And I upped the bonuses. I said this was straight out of the book. The idea is straight out of the book, but the bonuses are increased because I didn't think they were high enough if you're going to spend a day of your downtime on this. So that's what this does. Lets you be better at something that you know is going to happen in the future, or maybe you assume is going to happen in the future. Next is sell an item. For the most part, you don't get a lot of money out of selling stuff in my game, but in this case, if you want to spend time locating a buyer, 1 day per 2,500 gold in the sale price, then you can sell an item at its full retail value. That's really worthwhile if you guys find a magical greatsword that's really awesome, but nobody in the party can use this greatsword. You could always just destroy it and get the magic out of it, but if it's worth 10,000 gold, you might all say, you know what, why didn't somebody spend some time selling this and take a little extra cut of the money for spending their downtime on it, and we'll all make money off of it. Because believe me, everything about all of these systems, you're going to wish you had gold. So that's why I added this one again. That's not one out of the book. That's one I added. Take it easy, we all already talked about briefly. Take it easy basically is you doing just that. It says here, if you're not healthy, you should use rest. But if you can't think of anything you want to do and you want to just get Mike to roll some dice to see if something happens, it says it'll never truly be a bad thing, but it might not always be objectively good. It doesn't mean you're just going to find a chest full of money, but you could. But you might meet someone interesting, or you might discover a little bit of information that doesn't seem relevant right now, or you might, make a contact that could be useful in the future, or whatever. So all kinds of things can happen. I've got a little chart for it. But personally, I probably wouldn't use it very often because there's so many other cool things to do here. Taking over an existing building, that's a very specific thing, but if for some reason you find yourself in a position to purchase an existing building rather than building it yourself, then there's a task for you to basically buy real estate, which again, straight out of the book. I did make some changes to it because the way they did it was you were going to get a fixed price for these things, and that doesn't make sense to me. People might be motivated to sell and they're selling cheap, or they might be reluctant and you're trying to talk them into it, and they're gonna try to make some money off of it. So there's some variability in that. We're getting close to the end of the list here, and I'm going to stop this video when we get to the end of the list. So we're almost there. I think we got 3 more. Train a feat. This is my own homebrew, but every, what have I got? Every odd character level, no more than every odd character level, you can learn a feat. You can train a maximum of 6 feats this way for all time. When you add it to Hero Lab, please put the little note in there. This takes 5 days. If you can't find a trainer, then it takes 10 days. It does cost you money, but I can see that you might look at this and say, wow, that's way too powerful, letting people have all these feats in all these different ways. But the truth is, I just don't think feats are all that overly powerful. And I don't mind that there are 4 different ways to get feats in my game. I think it's fun to build your character with them. And, as long as everybody's doing it, I don't see how it unbalances anything. Train a skill rank, same thing, only different. If you want to get better at a skill, it takes 3 days. Costs some money. If you can't find a trainer, it takes 6 days. You can't train the same skill back to back. So I've got an example here. You could train climb and then train stealth and then train climb again, but you couldn't do climb, and stealth. No more than 1 skill rank per 10 day, so that's limited as well, but not a lot. Again, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world for you to have skills. You still can't exceed your character level in ranks in anything. And then lastly, to the end of the list, is train an animal straight out of the rule book. If you've got a pet and you want to teach it tricks, then we'll follow the rules and teach it tricks. And that really is it, guys. This ought to give you enough information to get out here and start messing with this sheet. Again, you're going to have these blanks to fill in, so be sure every time you choose something, read the description of it, please. And then scooch over and look for the green spaces that need to be filled in and fill them in. If you have any questions, let me know. And thanks very much for watching.